Thank you. Well, we're excited to share our work with you all tonight. Like Jennifer mentioned, for those of you just coming in, that we will be recording the presentation tonight. We are the Food Access, Urban Agriculture, and Justice interns and St. Joseph worker working with Celeste Dream and Justice Office. My name is Ellen Heastand. I'm an occupational therapy student, and I've worked with Celeste Dream and the Justice Office since February of 2020. I will hand it off now to Clara to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm a junior at St. Kate's. I'm studying social work and public health, and I started in the community leaders position that Ellen and Erica are in fall of 2019, and now I'm the NIFA Food Systems Fellow. And I will pass it off to Erica.
Hello, everyone. I am Erica Olson, and I am a senior at St. Kate's. I am majoring in nursing with a concentration in public health and holistic health, and I have been working with the sisters for about 1.5 years now. And I will pass it off to Karina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karina Sieber. I am one of the St. Joseph workers, and I'm with Celeste Dream and the Justice Office. And I've been with this community since August of 2020. So I'm gonna pass it back to Ellen now.
All right, so tonight we'll be grounding ourselves and our work in the CSJ Tree Image. For those of you that may not know, the fleur-de-lis is a historically significant image that represents the seed and origin of the Sisters of St. Joseph in 17th century France, and is shown at the bottom of the tree. From it grows a life-giving, bustling tree that nurtures diversity and seeds new possibilities. The tree growing from the fleur-de-lis represents the evolving changes that have and continue to occur within the CSJ community as we respond to the needs of the times. The foliage and diversity of life at the top of the tree represents all of the people who are drawn to the CSJ mission and work together to nurture life. In doing this collaborative work, we've noticed that what we are doing is growing communities of care. We extend the metaphor of the tree further to encompass the grounding of our work in CSJ mission and history, the strong roots and trunk grown through collaboration, the branches extended outward in connection with others, and the budding projects and seeds that keep us moving forward in light of the CSJ vision.
So to start us off, one of the lesser known and rarely seen, yet mighty phenomenons found in the natural world is the mycorrhizal fungal network. This is basically an underground fungal web which connects plant root systems to each other, helping to evenly distribute nutrients, water, and promote their healthy growth. So in other words, this is the underground source of plant interconnection, nourishment, and sustenance, which enables the individual plants to thrive and exist to their fullest potential while on this earth. So anyone who has heard of the CSJ community knows of the long line of sisters, consociates, and associates who have and continue to dedicate their lives to fulfilling the charism, oftentimes in the form of social justice and work geared toward responding to the needs of the times. One might wonder how the CSJs have managed to sustain their involvement in what is oftentimes difficult and necessary work throughout the centuries, all the way to the present times. Is there an underground network of forces that they keep in touch with to nourish their energy and their souls and to lean into the profound interconnection with all beings and to sustain the life of the spirit that still moves through them today? Well, this particular underground network isn't fungi in this case, but it is instead universal love, which unifies us all without distinction. You might be surprised to learn that universal love works a lot like mycorrhiza does. It connects us to the deepest parts of each other, and it flows to nourish us all evenly. It allows us to fully absorb the goodness in the world around us and to ward off what harms our spirits. This universal love directly fuels and supports the life work of the CSJ community. Love is ultimately what keeps us awake to the world and moves through us as we respond to it with our lives. And this is the network that the earliest sisters were tapped into, and the one that we find ourselves still fully woven into today.
In terms of strong roots, when I began working with the sisters, I would hear the phrase a lot, always moving towards profound love of God and love of neighbor without distinction. Prior to my time working with the sisters, I had been in a few jobs where the roles were really established and there was a system of hierarchy. And this didn't really allow much room for personal growth or passion projects that align with your interests and your major. However, when I was welcomed into the sisters community, there was absolutely no questions asked, and our projects are nurtured and guided with energy and a path towards success and community collaboration. In addition to the individual projects that we work on and the work in the food shelf and the community gardens, a lot of our work is around understanding the history, the values, and the beliefs of those that have walked in the roles before us and continue to walk with us. And every day we try and channel that energy in our walk of life and when we work with the community. This really creates a strong sense of community with everyone around us and with new individuals that come to be with us. Some examples of knowing the history and knowing how your deep roots formed are a history and orientation project that I worked on, where I did some interviews with a professor, Louise Edwards Simpson, who did research on campus about food insecurity and homelessness. And her research informed the importance of having a food shelf on campus. Secondly, at the Food Insecurity Project meetings, otherwise known as FIP, we talk about our mission and values and think about how we're aligning well with those mission and values and where we can keep working. And lastly, with the Justice Office on the Sisters campus, we do reflections at the beginning of the semesters and at the end of the semesters sometimes to think about how our work is changing us, how it's changed our passions, and how it's surprised us. Further, this has challenged our group to have political conversations, to think about systemic roots of food insecurity, and to ground ourselves in our work and do those reflections. And therefore, I have committed to this continued vocational calling of amplifying voices and healing communities through connection with nature, and embodying leadership styles of connecting with communities and supporting individuals' passions and interests.
For origins and collaboration, I'm Jennifer Tashney with Celeste Dream, and I have the very good fortune of working with these interns in St. Joseph Worker, along with colleagues in Justice, Ashley Lopez and Marty Roars, and with our colleagues at the Center for Spirituality and Social Justice, Sam Kelly, and others who are engaged in this food insecurity work called a FIP at St. Kate's. So our CSJ greatest assets from the 17th century to today, it's the mission, the sisters and the others living the charism, and our collaborative partners. And in Celeste's Dream, we grow collaborative partners through gardens, urban agriculture, food access, justice, and spirituality. And together with the Justice Office and the Center for Spirituality and Social Justice, we collaboratively engage direct service work, advocacy, and leadership with students. We engage students in direct service, advocacy, and leadership, all together responding to the needs of the times. So we go where the young people are, and we build collaborative projects around issues that we all care about. And in doing this, we extend the CSJ mission into the future.
Jennifer said, my name is Sam Kelly. I work with the Center for Spirituality and Social Justice. The collaborative partnership that Jen and I have developed, along with so many others that have supported us in this work and supported the food shelf and the students who have really kind of made it all happen day in and day out, and so many people on FIP like Deb Sheets who have made that organization the vital piece of St. Kate's that it's become. So much of that has come out of just how do we make all of this happen, and how do we kind of achieve for the best of the CSJ charisms that are our example and continue to be a major part of the work. This co-management, these partnerships that have started to form have really accompanied with it a shift in how we're thinking about social justice programming. It's a shift that kind of started pre-COVID, but that has accelerated through this time as it's become more and more apparent that our students don't want to talk about social justice work. They get enough of that in classes and they get that academic side of it. They come to us to do social justice work. And they come to us at wanting examples and wanting to be a part of it. It was our suspicion, I think, pre-COVID that the CSJs were a really good place to like show students that that was what they could do and give them the example of work that is happening and that is both the service foot, the direct service foot of social justice, and the advocacy foot, but especially represented in the Justice Office. That suspicion's been confirmed over and over again, and the 2 feet of social justice is becoming or will be a significant part of our programming model going forward. So it's with the work of the students that have been here that have showed how they can grow through this work and at the same time serve other students and provide other examples for the whole community. Thank you.
Extending our branches from this strong root system that Erica, Jennifer, and Sam were just talking about refers to both our growth personally and the growth of our connections in the community. For me, one of the ways that these converged was in the garden. So gardening is a major piece of our work with the Sisters of St. Joseph as we extend branches outward to the community. This summer, our team of gardeners aggregated produce from 5 different local farms and gardens, including Celeste Stream Garden, St. Kate's Garden, Highland Catholic School Garden, with the help of a lot of elementary school kids, Tashney Farm, and a CSJ community members garden. Not including the food that was shared with gardeners, there was a grand total of 1,039 pounds of produce grown and donated to the food shelf throughout the growing season. Most of the time our team spent in the gardens was in Celeste Stream Community Garden. As you can see through the statistics in the orange boxes here, the growing and distribution of this food was a labor of love for a lot of people. As an occupational therapy student, I have come to view gardening as a very therapeutic and meaningful activity in the lives of many people, including myself. Based on the intersection of occupational therapy and this position, one of my current passion projects has been around working with Karina and a few of the other community gardeners to create some accessible gardening beds so more people are able to participate in our community gardening. In addition to gardening, there's been a lot of opportunities for myself and this group to extend branches in other ways. For me, joining the Justice Commission and Earth Partners has really helped me to firmly plant myself in those 2 feet of social justice with advocacy on the right and direct service on the left. I have been able to connect these pieces of advocacy as well through designing various flyers and logos for working groups and Celeste Stream programming. I've learned a lot through these groups and through Ashley and Marty with the Justice Office about what advocacy really is. And I plan on taking it forward with me into my professional and personal life while I advocate for the things I care about. Some other key pieces of work I've been involved with this past year have been doing some research with members of the St. Kate's community and extending branches that way. For example, several members of the team, including myself, have completed a One Health project with St. Kate's Public Health Professor Dr. Mary Hearst, which is a research paper that outlines how the CSJs and St. Kate's together modeled the importance of animal, plant, and human health as one collective health through our work with the gardens, food shelf, St. Mary's Health Clinic, pollinators, and community building. While we're still waiting on publication for that paper, it was a great opportunity for a leadership development and to understand what the scholarly research and publication process looks like. And this graphic here just is a picture of what the idea of the One Health paper was. So taking this holistic and ecological perspective on health with me into my career as an occupational therapist, it will be really beneficial to ensuring I treat the whole person and look for upstream solutions rather than just looking for a physical cure.
So as the work of Celeste Dream continues to unfold, we find ourselves in the midst of a number of budding projects, many of which are anticipated to bloom in the springtime. We are developing season extended growing through the construction of a hoop house, and this will enable us to provide fresh produce to our communities for longer periods of time. We are implementing an accessible garden bed to be sure that participation in the community garden is welcoming to a diverse range of skills. And finally, we are finding ways of integrating anti-racism, which is one of my blossoming passions, into our community gardening practices. Our vision at large is to expand our awareness of the history of the land upon which we garden, which includes the origin story and the flourishing of the Dakota people, and later their forced removal and attempted genocide by the hands of white settlers. We also acknowledge the importance of learning where our gardening techniques come from and giving credit to those who have passed along their knowledge to us. Growing and sharing and eating food is a deeply spiritual experience for me, and right alongside that is my belief that healing the land is an inseparable part of healing ourselves. And by learning the full story of what has taken place on the soil that Celeste Dream Community Gardens is now a part of, we can begin the shared work of tending to the healing of the land, making sacred the food that grows from it, and extending this spiritual nourishment to the communities that we are in relationship with near and far. Journeying with myself and alongside others through this process of healing and reestablishing deep-rooted connection with each other and making room for new growth is what I consider to be the work of my life that I am really excited to carry out, both in our community garden and beyond.
Thanks, Karina. So as I shared earlier on, I started in the community leader's position fall of 2019, and I worked in the gardens and in the St. Kate's CSJ food shelf. And then this spring I shifted to be an NEFA Food Systems Fellow, and this position focuses on collaboration with Augsburg and Hamlin Food Fellows to reduce food insecurity amongst our campuses. Essentially, our goals are to increase collaboration, communication, and to learn best practices from one another in addressing food security. And I'm lucky to continue to work with people on this call while also engaging with other local universities in this new position. Then on the right, there's an initiative from the Food Insecurity and Food Waste Committee. This committee is focused on reducing food insecurity and food waste on the St. Kate's campus. One exciting program recently launched through this committee is Kitties in Hunger, where students can receive $10 vouchers to get a meal in the dining center. Faculty, staff, and students are invited to be a solution in the problem by donating to this account to support other students and peers needing a meal. And Jennifer Tashney, Sam Kelly, and myself are a part of this President's Committee. And all of these positions and experiences have drawn me to bigger systems thinking, which pushes me in the direction of macro social work one day. And especially the work experiences with the CSJs and the Community Leaders Program, the President's Committee, and now this NEFA Fellows position encourages me to pursue a career in social service administration to not only support the everyday needs of people through nutritious food access, but also to find upstream solutions to systemic issues. and I will pass it off to Karina.
And I'm going to pass it off to Erica.
So
Thanks.
we want to provide some resources and calls to actions to get involved if you're interested. First off, we are hosting an event called Food Fix, which is going to be a conversation around the Twin Cities food justice landscape. And it's going to include a panelist discussion. And Food Fix is a book, but we're going to send out a pre-advisory so you don't have to read the book to come to the event. And this will be March 31st from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Secondly, we do garden every Tuesday from 5 to 7, and there'll be emails coming out with when we're moving outside to actually start doing that. And a bee run is going to be happening, which is a virtual event this year due to COVID that will bring awareness to the importance of pollinators. And this will be on the week of April 17th to April 24th. And then lastly, March is Food Shelf Awareness Month. So we encourage you to look into your community and identify the food shelves near you. And if you have the time, to think about providing donations or volunteering if you're able.
So, as we continue forward in the sacred work of loving God and loving neighbor without distinction, we honor our role in keeping the torch lit with the flame that is universal love that has guided the CSJs for centuries before and will continue to light the way for the centuries to come. This light continues to help us sow the seeds of deep care, nurture the new forms of life that come to rise from them, strengthen and fortify what is already in existence, hold the past in light, and let that help us to see clearly as the path ahead is made visible. In all that we have done and will do, may this light shine from within us and be cast out onto the world around us. So thank you everyone for being here. If there are any questions, we would be glad to respond to them as we are able.
Not a question, just a comment. Great work. So impressed with all that you're doing. And thank you for taking the time to share it with the Justice Commission tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I second that for sure. This was very impressive and very wonderful. Thank you.
It's very I woke up my dog by clapping for all of you. So thank you so much. My dog Mabel says you did a great job too.
I loved how you wove it all together in terms of the CSJ history and the universal love, and then with the work of the food and the justice piece. Really, really lovely job to you all. Lovely.
I find it's very humbling to think that I claim a membership in this CSJ community, and then looking at what how you've articulated it and how you've actually had feet on the ground doing the work. It's quite wonderful. Thank you.